Now, earnings and data will continue to move sentiment. Abbott Labs, Comcast, General Electric, Baker Hughes, Northern Trust, Stanley Black & Decker, Ford, Discover Financials and F5 Networks are set to publish their latest financial figures. And mortgage applications are due out at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. The FHFA House Price Index at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. The IHS Market Flash U.S. Composite Purchasing Managers Index data at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time, and existing home sales at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. On the political front, President Trump is expected to depart Washington on Wednesday for Davos, Switzerland, ahead of his appearance at the World Economic Forum. In Asia, markets closed mostly higher today as the dollar continued its decline against a basket of other currencies. Most indices in the region had recorded significant gains in the last session. The Nikkei 225 slid 0.72% 1 day after the index hit a fresh 26-year high. Over in Seoul, the benchmark Kospi index closed higher by 0.06% at 2,538. In Sydney, the S&P ASX 200 edged up 0.29% to close at 6,054.70. Most sectors gained with the exception of the materials and telecommunications sub-indices. The Hang Seng Index reversed early losses to climb 0.19%. Hong Kong's benchmark index, which closed higher for the 6th consecutive session on Tuesday, is trading more than 9% higher year to date. On the mainland, the Shanghai Composite rose 0.4%, extending gains after trading at its highest levels in 2 years in the last session. The Shenzhen Composite advanced 0.51% to finish the session at 1,960.93. Well, Total plans to buy shares in the 3 Kenyan oil blocks from AP Moller Maersk. Britain's Tullow Oil and its Canadian partner Africa Oil discovered commercially viable crude in the Turkana region in the far north of Kenya in 2012. AP Moller Maersk later bought equity in these blocks. Full production is expected in early 2021 after completion of a planned $2.1 billion pipeline to transport the crude through the proposed port of Lamu. Kenyatta's office said Total had committed to the pipeline, prompting the government to agree to a proposal for the French oil major to buy the issued and to be issued share capital of Maersk Oil Exploration International in respect of blocks 10BA, 10BB and 13T. Kenya's recoverable oil reserves are estimated at 750 million barrels and considered feasible for production at a price of $55 a barrel. And IMF Chief Christine Lagarde met with South African Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Davos and agreed that structural challenges were a burden to economic growth in Africa's largest economy. Their meeting comes a day after the International Monetary Fund cut South Africa's growth forecast for the next 2 years, citing political uncertainty. South African businesses have urged Ramaphosa and the ANC's newly elected leaders to quickly introduce reforms that will restore investor confidence and reverse the economy's decline. Meanwhile, South Africa's headline consumer inflation quickened to 4.7% year-on-year in December from 4.6% in November. Now, the gig economy is flourishing in urban cities all over the world, with apps such as ride-hailing firm Uber and food courier Deliveroo growing fast. The impact of a sharing economy, of which the gig economy is a strand, is also on the agenda at the annual World Economic Forum in Davos.
In London, the distinctive turquoise and grey-coloured jackets worn by Deliveroo cyclists as they deliver takeaway food from restaurants is a common sight. The British firm, founded by 2 Americans in 2013, now has roughly 30,000 riders in around 200 cities. The term gig economy essentially means that workers are self-employed and paid per gig without a fixed contract. A Deliveroo rider is paid per delivery and an Uber driver is paid per ride.
It was during my final year of university throughout my exam period, and I needed a way to make extra cash without jeopardizing my studies because of the amount of time I was spent working. So I decided to sign up for Deliveroo, and it was great because I could fit my studies around the work that I needed to do to earn some extra cash.
However, not all workers in the gig economy share Dankwa's view. Both Deliveroo and Uber workers have taken cases to UK courts seeking employment rights. Former Uber driver James Farrar is one of the two drivers who successfully argued at a British employment tribunal that Uber exerted significant control over them to provide an on-demand taxi service and should grant them workers' rights such as holiday entitlement and rest breaks. Most employees in Britain are entitled to the minimum wage, but the self-employed are among those who do not qualify.
Well, there are benefits, but what we're always asked to do is to sacrifice fairness on the altar of flexibility. And we say there should be no choice. I mean, the law is clear. The law gives us minimum standard benchmark for everybody. Everybody's entitled for the law to be enforced and to be protected by the law. So just because Uber or Deliveroo or some of these other big gig economy platforms provide flexibility, does not mean that we should have to give away our rights in order for that.
Despite the disputes and challenges, the sharing economy, which encapsulates all platforms which allow people to interact digitally, continues to grow. A December 2017 WEF report on the sharing economy says there is not yet an agreed definition, but it refers to organized interactions where individuals or entities exchange their assets for a form of payment or service.
The gig economy has grown pretty quickly. I mean, you just have to look at companies like Uber, Deliveroo, Airbnb to see that there is a lot of activity in the area, and there continue to be companies starting up and offering opportunities to share week in, week out. In terms of the numbers, PwC have done quite extensive work on looking at the sharing economy. Their projections are that it was worth about 20 billion in terms of revenues last year, and is set to grow to around about 150 billion in revenues by the middle of the next decade. So there's still a lot of growth to come for the sharing economy.
The WEF report says it can boost the economy, nurture a sense of community by bringing people into contact with one another and facilitate neighborliness, as well as improve the environment by making the most efficient use of resources.
After the break, Zimbabwe considers building its reserves to back currency relaunch. To stay with us.